If you are the proud owner of a beginner guitar similar to this Squier Bullet Stratocaster, you might have encountered unpolished frets. Of course, if you play long enough, your strings will eventually wear down your frets and also polish them. But why not just improve your playability easily when changing the strings anyway? I'm Rina and welcome to Bandforge. Using steel wool for polishing frets is one of the most common methods. All you need are cheap supplies that are easily available. In contrast to that, it needs a good preparation and also a bit of cleaning in the end, so my advice is to first try it on a cheaper guitar before you move on to a more expensive instrument, but in the end, the result is very good. Here's a close-up of an unpolished fret. You can even see a bit of rust on the surface. For comparison, here's a steel wool polished fret, and this one is a fret that has been polished from the string from playing. I think there's a fair difference between all three of them. The minimum supplies you will need to get this done are at least, of course, some fine steel wool, but also some masking tape. When working with fine steel wool, like the one I picked, also use a dust mask, disposable gloves and safety glasses. You really don't want any of this stuff in your lungs, in your eyes, or even on your hands. It's really irritating. Another helpful tool for the later cleaning step is a magnet. Just pick one of your magnets from the fridge and that's fine. In addition to that, I also used a multi-tool to remove the strings before I started with the polishing itself. If you haven't already, now it's time to remove the strings. Usually I remove only one string at a time and replace it one after the other to avoid a greater change in neck tension. In our case, all strings have to be removed, so it makes sense to check the setup after polishing the frets, and if you've never done that before, you can have a look at this playlist. Once all your strings are removed, use some masking tape and stick it on top of each of your pickups. This way, any steel wool dust that would have otherwise found its way to the magnets will come off easily. Then take two pieces of masking tape and stick them as closely as possible beneath the fret you are going to polish. It's not necessary to completely wrap the tape around your neck, so all you have to do is take a bit of steel wool and polish the fret until you're happy with the smoothness. Once this fret is done, take off the tape that's further to the higher strings and move it over to the next fret. This helps keeping track of which fret has already been polished and which ones are still to come. I usually try to also get rid of all the steel wool dust from the tape during that step. Once the second piece of tape is in the right position as well, you can go on and continue polishing. Repeat these steps until you reach the 12th fret. Before going further, I'd advise you to stick some additional protective tape on the side of your neck to protect the gaps from the neck pocket. You don't want more steel wool dust in these tiny crevices. I forgot to do that this time, and it was a bit of a hassle to clean these tight spots around here. So I think it's worth using a tiny bit of extra tape here. And of course, after you secured this area, we continue polishing all the other frets. That wasn't too difficult, right? We'll finish off in 1 second, and I'd be happy to see you again for the next episode of Squier Modding. So please hit that subscribe button and also turn on the notifications. Thank you. On a white guitar like this one, you can really see the tiny dust particles that could potentially ruin your finish. so they should be carefully removed. The best method to proceed is to take a magnet, stick some tape on it and then move it over all areas where you suspect to find any dust. Even the fretboard itself will still hold a bit of steel wool dust, like you can see here. Take your time in this step, and if you find any tiny spots left, wipe off the dust with a damp paper towel without applying pressure. The only thing that's left to do now is to remove the tape from the pickups. And you're done! Do you have any other ideas to safely remove the residue from steel wool? Or is that a reason why you might prefer sandpaper-based methods for polishing? Next time I might try to just vacuum off any sort of dust from the guitar after polishing. Alright, for everyone who has been following my channel for a bit now, you might be wondering what this guitar is and why we're starting the Affinity Telecaster modding series with a Bullet Stratocaster. Well, as my Affinity's frets were already polished, I decided to introduce this new guitar to you. This Bullet Strat is for my dad, and I'll be modding this alongside to my Affinity. Normally I will just film the tutorials with my Tele, but if you'd like to follow what is happening to this Bullet Strat, I'd be happy to share some thoughts and also pictures with you on our brand new Discord channel. Everyone is welcome to share their progress on mods, builds and music, of course. Hope to see you there later. Bye!